Welcome to another episode of Life Between the Young Eye. I am your host, Sid, and I'm back with another informational, educational episode. The title of this one is The Cost of Living for Young Adults. Um, as we know, the cost of living for everybody, everyone, is crucial and just impossible to live off on, especially for young people, like myself, for instance. But before we get into the reasons and the effects and and how we could fix this problem. Uh, oh, sorry about that. Cough something in my throat. But I want you guys to subscribe, not subscribe. This isn't YouTube. Follow me. And if you like the podcast, share it with others. If you feel like you can learn something from it, or you have learned something from it, or you feel like someone else can learn something from it, share the podcast. If you don't like it, tell me what I can fix. Give me some constructive criticism. I'll take it all. But yeah, until then, let's hop into why we are going to be homeless in 10 years. So, um, I guess we can start with the intro. Reasons to why many young people, especially, are still living with parents. Um, Mostly teenagers and people in their early 20s, even mid 20s. Some even 30s. It's sad. But jobs are paying people lower than the cost of living itself. Just living is impossible. Renting, groceries, childcare, bills, mortgage. Um, well, I don't think an 18-year-old has mortgage, but that's just an example um, of the issues that we have to go through. And why are companies not paying their employers, employees, the efficient amount? Well, for one, they're selfish. That's just especially if they're a corporate. They're selfish. They will treat you like a slave for the longest time that they can, and it's sad. Um, simply we're simply paying to be young. Just to be young is expensive. For instance, young people have to pay more car insurance. They have to pay more when it comes to renting or buying because society is saying, oh, since they're young, they don't have that much experience. So hey, let's take more money from them, right? But knowing that a young person probably doesn't have that much experience with money either. So you're really taking advantage of their weakness, which is just straight out preposterous, if you ask me. Um, so just paying to be young is sad. It doesn't get better until like you're 30, maybe 30. I don't know. Maybe around 25, things will start to get a little bit cheaper. But yeah, just being in having to how do I say this? Having to pay extra just because of your age is unfair, in my opinion. And that don't get me wrong, majority of young people are just stupid. Well, I wouldn't say stupid, ignorant. We're ignorant because one, we don't know much. We're young. We're still learning. We haven't had as much experience as would of a 40-year-old, a decent 40-year-old, I would say. Um, and so what they do is they just feed on that, like, oh, he knows nothing, so let's just take advantage of him or her where we can, right? Uh, it's very unfortunate, but And another reason, um, age of insecurity. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it's like the breaking of societal bonds, right? That should support young people, but instead it leaves them isolated and vulnerable. So basically, all the resources that we think we have, right, or we think that's beneficial to us, right, they're not really beneficial to us. They're kind of like they're just leaving us on the playing field. It's like on the football field, right? You have the offense and defense, and you're on offense, right? And you expect the team around you to protect you from defense so you can score the touchdown. But let's just say that all the offense players left, and they just left you on the field by yourself with all the other defense players. That's basically what society is doing to us young people because things are changing faster than we can control it, right? So therefore, we have to play catch up, right? In order to play catch up, some things have to be broken in order to, I guess, I don't know, reach to whatever you're trying to reach. It's like they're basically just leaving us in the dust. We have no support, no head start, no anything. So what can we do? So we do it the best way we can, which obviously doesn't work. So we dig ourselves more and more in a hole that we can't get out of, and we're just left there by ourselves with no help. Tell me how's that fair? And it's not just for where I live at. I currently live in America. That's anywhere. Antarctica. Well, maybe not Antarctica, but you get the point. And the effects that it's having on us is leading to more loans and to make more loans, right? Since we can't afford what we already have, we're going to make, hey, let me apply for a loan, right? And sometimes we can't even apply for that because you need credit. And most young people do not have credit, right? So therefore, that leads us to the other options, right? Um, which also leads us into debt. And by the time we're 25, we're in what, $200,000 of debt while working at minimum paid job at McDonald's. Like, come on, make that make sense. There's no way you working at McDonald's and having $200,000 of debt, you get paid out for your lifetime. You're gonna be stressing for the rest of your life, not enjoying life, but worrying about paying this debt that wouldn't. That's not even gonna matter when you're dead, right? It's pointless, right? It's like they're setting us up for failure. And the only way to get out of this is if you freaking hit the lottery, or you're just lucky, or you're just born into a wealthy family, right? But the rest, you gotta work it. You gotta work it. You gotta work. And even not even working won't, you know, help you that much. Well, depending on what it is, um, and what you got the loan for, right? Um, but the percentage of 16 to 24-year-olds on average, right? 47%, right? 47% of their gross income each month spent on rent. That's almost half of their paycheck going to rent. And the other half is probably groceries or food. Well, that's groceries. Groceries or phone bills, car insurance, car notes, and all that, which barely, if any, leaves any money for yourself, right? And no one should be having to pay 47% of their gross income on rent, right? Rent nowadays, it is beyond, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. I know why rent is rising. Inflation, everything is rising. People are greedy. And when people get greedy, people forget how it affects people below them, let alone young people. Young people, their minds, our minds are still so vulnerable. We don't have that foundation yet. We don't have those bricks later yet because we're still fresh meat, basically, right? And we don't know what any of this mean. They sure they tell us what it means. They tell us what we want to know, right? They tell us what we want to know, or what we quote unquote need to know, so they can say, "Oh yeah, I did tell them that." But did you really though? You got to read the. I know it's a little off topic, but you got to read the fine print and things. I'm talking, and I mean literally and metaphorically. Um, you just got to be careful. And if you don't know, ask someone who knows. Family member, close friends, anybody. But yeah, having to pay more, almost half of a paycheck on rent is it's crazy. And that's like a 12% of increase this coming year, like from 2022 to 2023. There was a 12% increase in rent. Like, make that make sense. Like, I know COVID has an effect on it, yeah, but 12%. Most people are having to live back with their parents or bunking up with three, four people. Some of them are even getting evicted. They have nowhere to go. But does the government care? No. As long as they get their money, they're happy, right? They will take advantage of this fresh new meat. And it's sad. It really is. And how can you fix this? Right? How can you fix this? You can, but the question is, are they going to, right? No, they're probably not. But another effect, it leads to mental health. And having to worry about where you're gonna sleep, where you're gonna eat, how are you gonna pay this off, how are you gonna pay that off, how are you gonna pay for books. Um, you shouldn't have to be stressing that young or having suicidal thoughts so young or breaking down, having freaking um, panic attacks, anxiety attacks. Is that the same thing? I think it is. Um, just being so anxious about paper. It's paper. It's the fact that we care about paper so much that we let it take over our lives. It's just mind blowing to me. But that's the world we live in, and it sucks that these issues are giving you mental health issues. And with mental health issues, right, you also have to pay for that. Therapy isn't free. You know, I mean, emergency hotline, that's free because, that's like when you're almost going to kill yourself, something like that. And they try to, not let you do that. But other than that, you got to pay for that crap too. I'm not saying it's beneficial or not beneficial. It can be beneficial. I feel like it could be, but I can't speak for everyone. Not everyone may think it's beneficial. But I'm just saying that you also have to pay for that as well, right? So at the end of the day, young people in this generation, just in today's world, have it. I want to say we have it the hardest because don't get me wrong, each generation has their hardships. I'm not knocking that at all. I'm just saying for this one specifically, we have to deal with more challenges versus a teenage or young adult from the 90s or the 80s. I'm just being honest. It's the truth. Everything was lower then, but obviously the pay was equivalent to the cost of living at that time. So it kind of fluctuates in a little bit. But now it's not even fluctuating. This is like on a scale. You can't see my hands, but I'm currently doing paying very low and cost of living very high. Um, it's it's toxic. It's toxic, and that's leading confidence on our future, right? We're stressing about, oh, since we're going through all this right now, what's going to happen in the future? 10 years from now, what is it going to be like 10 years from now? The cost of living, anything, just life in general. What is that going to be like 10 years from now? Because we don't really think about that. We don't. I mean, we think about it, but do we really think about it? You know what I mean? Because 10 years from now, which is what, 2020? I say 2020, 2033. Things will be a lot different. And I mean a lot different. And honestly, I don't see that in a good way. Considering what's going on right now, I do not see it in a good way. Unless some type of miracle happens within the next 10 years, I don't see how we're going to survive. Sorry about that, it's my watch. I honestly don't see how we're going to survive, especially young people in this on this world. Well, we won't be young, I guess, 10 years from now. Yeah, I'll still be young. Would I be 30, 30, 31? That's still technically young. Yeah, I'm gonna take that. I'll still be young. But the point is, the point is, how can we fix this? How can we fix this issue? What can we as a society do? Not just young people, but people as a whole. How can we fix this issue so we can pass down to our children, grandchildren, and the other young people that will be coming after us? How can we make it easier for them? Because that's what we're supposed to do, right? Each generation is supposed to help generation to better themselves, right? And that will continue until this world will be a beautiful, happy place. But that will take lots of time, and I won't be alive for that. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Um, but I, currently, how could we? What plan can we create now to create a temporary, well, not even temporary, more of a permanent solution? Um, maybe okay, we'll say temporary solution because things will change 10 years from now. So I feel like for those of you young, beautiful people, right, that are living by yourselves or your bumped up roommates, um, you might be doing these things already, but I'm going to say it anyways. One, budget. Please, 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 please budget your money. Yes, I know we young people, we're very gullible and very eager to buy things that we see on social media, on TV, on the internet. And we see other people wearing it. And we're like, oh, okay, let me buy that, right? We don't even check our bank accounts. We just buy it. And then we look at our bank accounts, the balance is zero. You look in your calendar like, oh, would you look at that? I have a car payment tomorrow, which is $200. Well, let me call the bank and say, hey, I'm going to make a late payment on that. And then I add more interest on that and the late payment fee. And you put yourself more in debt. So please budget your money. And I know it's hard and difficult, but you got to be disciplined. You got to be this, especially. I mean, if you're rich and wealthy, and if you could afford it, do it. I've heard of a thing my family used to say: if you could buy it twice, do it. But if you can't buy it twice, don't do it. And I feel like that's a good strategy most people should use, especially my generation, because Lord knows, man, these kids, they don't know how to budget at all. But anyway, roommates, roommate, close friend, right? I don't know, family member, cousin. If you are able in that situation and you can do that, I highly suggest it. It can help, not only physically, but mentally, because it's less stress. You guys will share the stress together. So therefore, you can understand each other. So therefore, you'll be a little 1% happier or not. It, I honestly don't know. Um, Mental health support. Like I said before, therapy, you will have to pay for it unless you have insurance. That's another thing. Not everybody can afford insurance. Not everybody can get insurance, even if they wanted to, right? So that just leaves you money coming out your pocket. But if you do have that option and you are, privileged to do that, do it. If you have the money to pay for it out of your pocket, do it. And if you don't, I highly suggest joining group chats or communities that understand you and know what you're going through and can relate. I feel like that can help a lot, especially on social media. And I know I talked about social media being bad and all that good stuff, but social media also has its positive sides as well. And mental health communities, mental health support communities is one of them. So I highly suggest that if you're broke, like me, I am broke. But last but not least, focus on priorities. And what I mean, like I said earlier, focus on what you need to do, then focus on the things you want to do, right? Um, if you know you have, I don't know, a student application to fill out and it costs $50, I highly suggest you paying that before you pay $50 for takeout, right? Focus on what's focus on the long term versus the temporary short term. And once that is over, then you're left with nothing again. So I highly suggest to focus on that long term and see what you want. But that's I would say that concludes. I wouldn't say everything, but I would say some of the things because you can go in depth with this topic for so long, and it can be 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. It's just so much to talk about, and how can and the things we can do to fix this situation. But I just wanted to get I guess, the crucial parts out of the way, if that makes sense. Like the main issues, right? Out of the way. And I feel like I did. But if I didn't, you guys can let me know if you have any add-ons or um, suggestions or comments or concerns. I sound like an agent, but yeah, I feel like if we want to change the world for our young people, I'm talking like I'm not young myself. If we want to change the world for me and my young people, no one else is gonna make the change except us. We got to stand up, right? We may not know a lot, but guess what? You have the ability to learn a lot. Teach, learn yourself. No one's gonna teach you. Learn it yourself. Read, YouTube, internet. Like we literally have the power in our pockets, in our faces, at home, everywhere. So what's stopping us? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but really though, what is stopping us? Um, well, I just motivated myself. I'm gonna go work out now. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And let me know your thoughts about this. Like I said, if you have anything to add, let me know. Don't forget to follow my wonderful um channel, whatever you may want to call it. But yeah, until the meantime, I shall see you in the next episode. And remember to stay humble and to stay hopeful. As it is out. Peace.